Okay, let's get started. Starting off with an announcement. Portrait Studio is not going to be on sale forever, everybody. It's on sale for until the 14th, midnight. So this Sunday midnight is the last day. Please take advantage of the sale if you haven't already. I won't be able to provide promo codes. And this month, patrons are getting an extra 15% off on top of the sale if they don't own Portrait Studio. And when the Mac release comes out, if any patrons are on any apprenticeship, they also get a massive cut for Mac users, for patrons only. So if you guys are interested in joining as apprentices, a really big Portrait Studio sale, extra discount is added on top. Currently running community challenges are still live, and they're going to be due around Halloween for both of them. So please remember that if you want to join, I'm sorry, I've got like this burp that wants to come out, but it's just it's really shy because I'm live now. And one of them is the environment challenge. One of them is the character environment integration challenge. If you haven't read on them, please go to announcements and read up on them. I will be providing some really quick briefs soon, I hope. I haven't had any time. I'm so sorry. I have been crazy busy. I haven't had time to just sit down. Between health problems and dealing with what happened last summer and just making sure I show up to classes, it's just been crazy busy. You know, when you ask God for a little bit of spice in your life, He does not hold back. That's it for announcements, I hope. And then the big elephant in the room, Google Plus, is shutting down coming this August next year. And it's very sad. We've done everything through this community. We've built 8,000, almost 9,000 members. What are we going to do? Well, I might base everything off my community tab in the website. I'm going to try my best to find a way to recreate like a duplicate of Google Community on my community tab. So there will be posting pictures, there will be writing down quick comments. There might not be a login system, but you just have to rewrite your name every time when you want to post a comment. And beneath each picture there will be a comment, and the wall will just keep growing. I'm going to try to also pin things at the top. I'm going to have categories on the side, and I'm just going to get a full HTML, see whatever it is that I need to learn, or hire a professional to get it working on my website. I don't want to use pre-built forums. I think those are disgusting. They're really icky and gross. I want something really clean and quick, a wall that everyone can visit, so that they can post their stuff, so we can have a backup in case Google Plus does actually close. I don't think they will. A security breach is something very easily corrected. They just want to just close it to avoid all possible problems of further stuff released in the future. I think the reason why they want to close it is because they haven't really told us the full story and the extent of the security breach. So they're closing it for now just so that nothing else comes up out of the ground. But if that's the case, then why are they closing it towards August? But I think they're phasing it out towards August, and they're going to be disabling some stuff from now till August. So the community might actually be completely disabled soon with no warning. And Google accounts will still be live until August. You understand? It's not just all going to shut down in August. I'm preparing for that. I'm going to try my best to get a community tab exactly similar to the wall here. Exactly the same format, except without ugly Google+. You can enlarge the scene. You can download the entire resolution. There won't be accounts, which will be the only problem. You're just going to have to rewrite your name every time you want to leave a comment. It's going to be weird because you're posting a picture on my website, so there will be a third party involved in how we get this working, which means it might hopefully come with a login information and a login system for users. I think it's about time we just based everything off my website instead of branching out all the time. And Google Plus was always a little like Quasimodo anyway. It was never really fully formed. I feel so bad for saying that, but it was always a freak in the distance. It never really fit in, and it kept changing its look, and it gave us so much trouble. And I think it was bound to happen. Anyone who would have thought Google Plus would have been a forever thing was probably lying to themselves anyway. Let's get started on today's critiques. 1 second. The Mac version is going to be available very soon. It's in the works, and the only problem is that Mac graphics cards are integrated, and which means they're bad graphics cards. Please don't buy Macs anymore, you guys. You're artists, you know better. Portrait Studio is very GPU heavy. We're trying to get rid of as many like ways that might challenge your MacBooks, but the weights that might weigh it down. But, you know, it's a very, very difficult task to kind of try to figure out without completely erasing Portrait Studio, and all you can load is like a picture of Portrait Studio without your MacBooks crashing. Let's get started. So one of the biggest issues here is the perspective on the keyhole. The perspective here is a little bit challenged because it's not actually following the 3/4 view angle that it would be in. It would be more long on one side and flat on another side. It's also the foot of the keyhole is not parallel with the rest of the piece, with the rest of the horizontal lines on the stairway, or the pathway here. Okay, so I'm just taking care of that. Alright, and then we've got the light of the keyhole not really drowning any of the steps here. So we need to flood this light out a little bit more. Cast it on its areas. The problem with this is that you've attached a light environment, light source coming from the far side, coming from the distance of the camera, of the canvas, which needs to change. Give me a moment, YouTube is kind of freaking out. What's going on here? Okay. That should solve that. So that's a problem, that your light source is on the far side of the canvas. That's completely throwing off your focal point. What you need to do is find another way to represent this symbolically. It can be a very dim light source with a kind of doorway that you can walk into. That way you've dimmed it. So it's still a keyhole doorway, but it's kind of a way to walk into another scene, so still behaving as another way to go, or another added space, or whatever symbolically representing. God, I can't even think right now. So confidence, goals, success. I don't want to speak about the theme that the artist had. It may be a little bit too personal for them, but they're talking about confidence and how the glass wall here, their goal is right there, but they can't reach it. It's very poetic and beautiful. I don't want to dismiss it by explaining it wrong. I know it means very much to them, but I hope I explained it properly, or read or interpreted it properly. So I'm getting rid of the extra light that I added, because altogether it's just doesn't fit. The light source is just drawing a lot away from the focal point, which is all this glass here. And then select inverse. I'm also going to blur it. Try to blur what we're seeing here. So it's like a little open room, and that's the path that takes them to where they need to go. It's still keyhole shaped, so that should help. This tangent's kind of giving me the heebie-jeebies. Okay, and this can be blurred a little bit. This far side is blurred. And it's just a destination for them to go. A little bit of light towards the bottom, and a little bit more blur towards the edge. Then to complete the light environment, I'm going to quickly darken the upper part of this canvas to show the dim light source. The light shouldn't be carrying all the way up. And what this will help us generate is more glare power in the glass. The glass is like water. It'll get like a thin film of the light equally distributed across it. So that means we're going to get a bit more of this light sitting thinly on top. Okay, and then sitting with these reflective glares. Anything behind the wall is refracted, or if that's the correct term, I really don't know. So the actual reflection is kind of lifted up a bit, magnified. Okay. I'm just completing this, and I'm also going to smudge it because it's not going to be a clear, perfect image. Glass tends to, especially for objects in the distance and not directly close to, glass tends to distort images behind it or magnify them. And then I'm going to, his shirt is very reflective, so it should reflect more of him through. Sorry, just the shirt. And then finally the lens here, just reflecting some more. More glare should come through his shirt and on his face. And since these light sources are pretty much the only thing in these rooms, they should be able to illuminate some of the lower ends of the stairs above, or the pathways above, something like that. There should be a little bit more illumination possible here. Okay. So the glass has a very purpley touch to it. I mean, sorry, turquoise color. The background color has a very navy kind of turquoisey blue sometimes. And then you've got just straight up grayscale for the white slab type. I'm not sure what they're called, but the bridge. Let's just call it a bridge. So I'm just going to get the color wash from the background. At least the background color should be reflected on these surfaces here. So you have an incomplete wash all around. And some of this wash can stretch upward and into the glass. So the glass can have its turquoise little touch, but it really doesn't make much sense that the gray colorless surface is not getting any of the color in the surrounding environment. Okay. Oopsie, I didn't erase. Just there. Alright, a little bit of the skin color will come through the cloth, since he seems to be wearing tattered clothes. And a little bit of the pant color will come through the white shirt. That'll make it look more realistic. Anywhere where skin is really close to the surface of the shirt, we'll get a bit more of the color. And then I'm going to get burn on shadows to bring out some contrast in the focal point, which is him. Okay, so the keyhole at this point is just still bothering me. So what you can do, and it won't hurt the painting at all, is just enlarge it. Since it seems to be this big from a distance, it should be able to stay that big from this point. And I can correct the perspective like that, and then carry it at a closer proximity to the character. I hate it when Photoshop turns into like this beautiful mind of purple lines. I don't know how to turn it off. I didn't even bother trying. Sometimes it's useful when it shows those purple measurement lines, but super annoying. So the keyhole looks much better that much closer. You want everything to be framed properly. You don't want one of the major carriers of the story to be on the far end of the unimportant side of the canvas. So I'm just trying to balance some colors here. Keyhole is very symbolic. It doesn't actually have to be a fully functioning doorway. It's also behaving like hope. It's like looking like hope for the character. Again, I'm sorry if I diminish from the story with my own stupid interpretation. Really, really beautiful kind of process thinking behind it. Darken. I'm just going to try to distort this far end here. It feels a little bit outside of the perspective, but I'm trying to work as fast as possible. So any questions at all about this piece? Any questions about the lighting? It's a beautiful piece in that it helps us kind of really look at what happens when you have a very specific kind of light source situation like this. Just testing the perspective. So this was off. Just illuminating this upper layer. So now that brightness is explained, it's coming from a certain direction, and I would really distort the keyhole. So I'm sure you have your own narrative direction with the keyhole, but I don't want it to behave as like a really sharp disruptor of the focal point, kind of more of an energy really coming out of the keyhole than, and distorting its outline than a sharp keyhole like that. And the little explosions of white, now that it's closer to the front, we can allow it to be a bit brighter, are just moments of brightness. They're not going to be really that strong, just towards the end. And they kind of reflect right on top of him. Okay. You can shrink it, but it just would make so much sense if it was in close proximity to the character. And then I'm going to blur and distort some more and frame some more as well. Multiply. Just throwing some stuff off to the ends, just so we can frame the piece a little bit better. You see how now it doesn't matter again how bright we went. The framing will kind of bring everything down to a mute, and the character will make much sense. And then there's the cast shadow on the character's foot. That needs to be a lot more defined, as the cast shadow is like the life of your painting, really. It's just beautiful. And you have an area of the cast shadow pretty close to the character, so you can get away with some like extensive brightness just there. Okay, so I'll select the before and after. I feel like the glass is carrying the eyes of the viewer away from the canvas, so I would actually drag that glass down as far as I can go without the bottom peeking through. Okay, so now it's not dragging the eyes of the viewer away. See how everything is closing off very nicely. And then there is the fact that the canvas just has a bunch of just like unimportant information towards the base. And now that I cropped it, okay, can I have the brush tool now? Now that I cropped it, I have to reframe. I'll use darken, multiply, it's a little crazy. Okay. So, guys, Istebrak helps. Yes, at Istebrak, thank you so much. Should the part behind the glass be darker since the light source is so bright? What do you mean, behind the glass? Which side? Like there should be no pathway. Considering the keyhole was a way out of the cave, should we not be able to see the way behind it? Well, it was just more of the bridge, is just what I assumed. Sorry if you've been over this already, but do you have any advice for hobby artists who are lacking in their fundamentals? Form studies. You begin with form studies and still lifes. Considering that at the beginning of the painting, the keyhole was kind of the way out of the cave, she would not be able to see the path after it. As I said, the bridge just continued it. That's all I'm doing at the moment. I don't want to infer my own meaning because it's an artist's piece of work. It's not my work. Does the boy look feminine? He has really wide hips. The thing is, it could be a boy, it could be a girl. I like the androgyny in that it's a universal... I don't know what I just did. I like the androgyny in that it could be a girl with a short haircut. You know, it could be... if it's a boy, then I would definitely decrease the size of the bum. Any more questions? Changing the keyhole has already helped the composition. It feels much more balanced. So let's look at the before and after. Okay, so you'll see before how the textures really weren't reflecting on each other. So before, do you see how far away that keyhole was? And after, things are more framed and the colors are more universal. Those gray bases, they don't actually have to stay gray. And if you've ever worn a gray shirt or you've worn a white shirt and you stood beside some color, that gray and that white is going to take in that color, especially white. But if it's a gray, reflective, smooth, buffed bridge, I'm sure there's a guy they've hired to buff this area out. It'll look pretty shiny. I mean, it is reflecting some stuff from the glass onto the ground, so it should be able to capture the light nearby. It's still gray, but it's gray with respect to its environment. Okay. And before, where the glass was really drawing the eyes away. Of course, I've cropped it now. Let me crop it more accurately. There we go. The glass was drawing the eye away. Way too close to the top. I actually need to smudge that. Okay. Keyhole is much closer, so it's that much closer. The light of success is licking your fingertips, but it's just not there yet. A lot more intense. The reflection on the shirt against the glass. The lighter value of everything beneath the glass or behind the glass. I hope that has helped you. Let's move on. This piece is a little bit off to me because the mermaid's neck seems to have moved away from her body and is a bit too big. And then you've got that really side swish and a high school emo haircut. And what that's done is it's interrupted her silhouette of her 3/4 view. So her face could have done a lot better if there was some of the negative space behind. You guys remember that Justin Bieber haircut? Some of the light is just snaking through. I thank God that when I was in high school, I wore a veil, so I don't have a high school haircut, so I have to worry about. So some light is coming through here. Actually, no. I regret not ever having, you know, let my hair out. And that's helping the boobies, which I'm just gonna hide, are a little bit forced. The perspective is a bit forced. I feel like the arms should be somewhere here. So I'm gonna try to open this on Portrait Studio to see exactly what I'm doing here. The arm would actually be somewhere over here, I think. I believe that's right. Let's test it on Portrait Studio though, just to make sure I'm not wrong. The arm might be a little bit smaller as well. But I know the arm would reach in front of the torso line, and the rest of the torso would be beneath. Okay, so we'd be able to see some of the back. Okay. So merge down, merge down. I think this area here is just generally too dark. And the back would kind of end a little early. But you have so much going on in the painting around the silhouette. Things should just be really, really bright. The position of this should be moved. Her head would be a little bit behind her arm, I think. I'm gonna flip the canvas and see what we're doing. Oh! Image, adjustments, edit, I don't know, transform, flip horizontal. No, I meant the whole thing. Edit, transform, flip horizontal. Okay. So yeah, the arm would be a little bit in front. So you have just a lot going on. And let's just jump into Portrait Studio to see if this is right. Alright, image. Edit. Transform. The reason why I'm doing it like this is because Photoshop keeps forgetting my shortcuts. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I'm just trying to find where the head is. This feels a little bit more accurate. So the back is too broad. Alright, the haircut feels really claustrophobic. It feels like it shouldn't be there. There's also way too much shadow in her hair. Her hair should be in a lot of subsurface scattering. Her hair should be very bright. The light is pure white at this point. She's just drowning in light. She should be a lot brighter. There should be some subsurface on her fin since it's not really skeleton. It's not that dense. Just on the outsides. Not her fin. I meant her fish body. A little bit there. Then the purple is not really working. The purple should be filtered under the green, which would make it more of a blue. The green would get rid of the red in the purple formula. So we'd still have some purple left over, but it would be a bit more green. And then the light on her face doesn't make much sense since it's light coming from the top, but here the light is behind her. She should be in one large silhouette. Do you see how that makes sense instantly when we throw her into a silhouette? Because she's technically in foreground. Do you see that? She's really close to foreground seaweed. So she should be in silhouette. So if she's in silhouette, I suggest a more pronounced gesture, something that kind of really shows off her body with moments of subsurface scattering here and there while she's floating there in space. You're kind of forcing this photo shoot type light source, and you have her in a silhouette light environment. I won't jump into Portrait Studio. I actually do see that there are issues here. I do want to show you guys though that the head is, sorry about that, the head is way behind the shoulder in this kind of scene. So the head would be way beneath the shoulder line and the shoulder line would be right in front. Just waiting for Portrait Studio to load. So delete, yes, add model, figures, female, and then we're gonna zoom in, rotate her to be in that angle, and then just bring the arm down actually first. What was she doing? She was kind of doing that. Okay. That's rotated up while she's holding something. I don't think the perspective is that intense. The shoulder's right there. Okay, so it's really, really distorted. And then her head, which was rotated this way and this way, would be in more of a perspective. Her nose, we wouldn't see the far part of her cheekbone, if you guys can see. We really wouldn't see that far part. And then the rest of her back is twisted in like a fish. Okay, her elbow, her arm is actually tucked in, so her elbow's pretty close to her body. And higher. And the other arm is just away. And the light source is coming from behind, so there it is. Look at what's happening with the arrow. The light is telling us it's pointing directly at her from the other side. So this would be a silhouette. If the light was top down, then it would explain where all her shadows are coming this way. So the head was in a completely different perspective than the body. And I'm just basing this off the fact that we can see part of her back. If we saw that much of her back, and we saw that the arm was on the side and the breasts, maybe the perspective can be shifted. A little bit more like that. And that's fine still, but we still wouldn't see her far part of her cheekbone. And we still wouldn't see her back. Okay, so you had like 3 different perspectives on the body here, and that's why it looks so stiff and forced. If we look at the before, it's kind of just as bad. So we're seeing the top part of her breast, but the arm is really low. What happened to the arm? Why is the arm missing? Where's the joint of the arm, of the shoulder? Then we're seeing this really delicate 3/4 view on the face, but the body, we can see the back. How's that possible? She must be doing this. But her arm is all the way over here. You guys want to see what that looks like from front view? Like that. That's why I say the arm looks dislocated. Because you guys actually dislocate them. For it to be in this position, which is why it looked right to you, like this, let's say, and we saw part of the back, you actually had to dislocate the arm, and what you did here is it just had no information. Do you see that? No information. So, I hope this really explains to you what you guys are doing. I'm sorry about this selection thing. This is just how I rotate in Portrait Studio. I just figured out my own way to do it. So put the arm back, please. Just put it right back where you found it. Boop. I'm just going to rotate away from the breast. In this case, the breast would, obviously, it's a low density object. It wouldn't stack. And we're going to rotate the head back to a normal level. She could be looking back this way. Wouldn't she be looking at her magic spell, though? Alright. So, I hope this helped you kind of see the error of your ways. Please look at references before you try drawing a very flexible mermaid. You had all kinds of issues here. I mean, I tried to fix them with my own painting, but there's only so much I can do. The head needed to be way shorter. I mean, way smaller as well. The head was very, very big. If I bring it down and compare it to the size of the torso, the head is as big as the torso. If you take a look at that with a waistline. Thank you everyone for joining today. I really appreciate you guys just being here and allowing me to teach you. I'm so sorry that Google Plus is closing. I hope it doesn't actually close. We've worked so hard to build our community, and I'm going to try to contact them. Apparently enterprises are not going to be shut down, so I'm still trying to figure out how to make Google Plus, my Google Plus community and my account into an enterprise, which means I may pay like $700 a month for it or something. Because big companies tend to make Google Plus accounts as well, and they get to have their own way of interacting with their customers. But this is more of a community really than a store. A store is on my website, and that's its own thing. Thank you everyone for joining. I'm a little bit stressed out about it, but I'm sure I'll find a way. At the end of the day, we can always do it on our website. To join, for now, go to Google Plus and click on the little Google Plus icon and click to join. Read the rules, please. I'm so sorry. There's so much disappointment in my voice. I'm just a little stressed out now that it's time for me to tell you guys how to submit your work. I don't know how you're going to submit work later. We might do it on Facebook, but Facebook is horrible. And to purchase your copy of Portrait Studio, go to the store icon and you can grab your copy for a decreased price. When the price goes back up, it goes back up to $80. There will be a smaller sale in December for those who want to buy it or gift it. Again, thank you all for coming. I'll see you guys on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye, everyone.